Hi everyone, welcome to this virtual fireside chat with Google Cloud. I'm Pip White, Managing Director of UK and Ireland for Google Cloud, and I'm really excited to be speaking today with Sarah Wood from our customer Kaluza. Sarah, for those who are not aware of Kaluza, could you please tell us a little about the company and your role there?
I'm Sarah Wood. I'm the CEO of Kaluza. We are a platform technology company working at the intersection of tech and energy. And we are part of the OVO Group, which is tackling the climate crisis that affects all of us. We do believe what we do now is going to shape our biggest challenges for generations to come. What that means is we need to decarbonize energy generation and the consumption, full stop. It requires fundamental shift to a decentralized ecosystem that puts consumers at the heart of our thinking. So what we're doing, what we're building is building that platform to unlock simple, green, and more opportunities across the entire industry for grid operators, but also really for the people in their homes.
It sounds like a really important mission that you have at Kaluza. And it also sounds like, as a cloud platform company, technology is really at the heart of your organization. Could you perhaps describe a couple of ways Kaluza is using Google Cloud to address some of the challenges you face in the energy industry?
The key aim for Kaluza, as I mentioned, is really revolutionizing the consumer experience, empowering them with insights, encouraging actions to reduce their own energy carbon footprint, the cost of energy. Challenges are really huge. And if anyone's worked in consumer, they know kind of winning hearts and minds on the consumer level is a challenge. But if you combine that with an industry that needs this transformation, there's just so much that we need to pull together. And the only way to do that is through really kind of hardened professional tools like Google offers. For example, like many platforms, we have the same challenges. Scaling real-time data is huge. Speed to deployment is huge. Every minute that we don't release new things to consumers or to suppliers or to grids is time lost against this battle for the climate. We need to build interoperability. That's another one that you hear a lot in the platform space. Interoperability is key. I don't think we're going to build each and every single capability ever needed for the history of mankind for energy, but we need to really encourage that ecosystem to thrive and for millions of, possibly billions of customers. So what that leads us to, and why we love working with Google, is you have some incredible tools. Again, the issue of data at scale, deployment, migration, interoperability. There are a few specific areas that I can point to that have been game changers for us. For example, the way Google approached containerization, specifically Kubernetes. This is incredibly sophisticated. Other things that we can do in working with Google is we can leverage really fine-grained controls. We can ensure that data is protected, that it's secure, that the users who need that data have access to it, but that users that do not have access to it. And I think we all live in this world today where having that assurance is tantamount to, like, do I use that product or not? So as a digital first company, and OVO is unique in this space, I do think that working with Google puts us in a position where we are super prepared for these challenges ahead. And yeah, it's been a real pleasure to work with the Google team.
Well, it's fascinating. I mean, you've definitely got innovation at the heart of your strategy and your thinking. And you mentioned there, that you're a digital first company. So we would assume that Kaluza were well prepared for the challenges that we've seen with COVID. Has this been the case? What are some of the ways that you and your team have been adapting?
It's a good question, and I think top of mind for everyone. It's been, a long year in that regard. But thankfully, like many tech companies, we were well positioned for a number of things. For example, we were well suited to make that transition from office work to home work. We did not lose momentum, and I think that the emotional toll that this year has brought That's been a worry of companies around the world and managers, but we've seen people really dig in and really perform. We've been able to help the supplier side, OVO Energy, really manage how consumers are feeling in their homes, how they want to engage. There is a behavioral change on the horizon. We're seeing it in our own data with electric vehicles. There's just a lot out there that we're well positioned because of the data tooling that we just talked about. We also did an entire migration, and I'm laughing when I say this because it seems almost insane that we would take on migration from 0 customers to a full customer base for one of our clients during a pandemic. But we did do that. And again, it's because we were well suited. So really, I think it adds up to what I said before, which is without the prerequisites of tools such as what Google Cloud offers, we wouldn't have been as well positioned. And because we're a technology first, a platform technology company, we were able to quickly make that transition because we had the mindset.
Yeah, so all businesses are subject to unpredictable events, and obviously their response at these points are really critical. And you've just articulated some of those really nicely for us. But what are the factors for the energy sector, and how do you use technology to give you the infrastructure resilience to be flexible to meeting some of those demands?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a complicated one. On one hand, you think energy is simple. It's you turn on the light switch in your home and you pay a monthly bill. But to be honest, it's changed. We're going to have very soon kind of quadruple the amount of green energy produced in 2050 to serve demand. So we did pass the milestone in Europe where the percentage of renewables is higher than fossil fuels, which is a first. And as we continue to invest in ways to produce that energy better, we really need to electrify the home and to take advantage of technology to help balance that supply and demand, to capture that energy and store it. And all of this takes a lot of AI and machine learning. We have to scale dynamically to respond to the needs of that grid. We need the system to be resilient. So yeah, all of that combined leads to a kind of a tricky setup, but I think if you take a step back and look at it objectively, we see where we need to go, not we, Kaluza, but we as an industry. And I would argue now more than ever, we as humans in our home. We read a lot online, we understand the climate crisis, and we want to participate. We want to be good actors for the most part. And so how do we enable that is at the heart of that as well.
And it's hard to believe, actually, just listening to your story there, Sarah, that Kaluza is not even 3 years old. So I'd be really interested to know, what role do you see diversity and inclusion playing in Kaluza's rapid growth, and obviously in your role as an industry disruptor?
It is, a traditionally non-diverse industry. I don't think that's anything controversial to say. It's just it just is. But it's a changing industry to meet modern times, and as you see in tech, and as you see in energy, because I've had the experience in both, and you as a female leader in Google, we do see these industries changing around not only gender diversity, but all kinds of diversity. The Black Lives Matter movement was a real awakening, and some of us who think a lot about diversity were like, yeah, okay, great, let's use this to propel us forward. But there's a lot to unpack there. At Kaluza, what I've built so far, my leadership is predominantly female at the moment, and that's amazing. But more important than that is that diversity of thought, of experience, of nationality, of ethnic diversity, of gender, of LGBTQ. All of that is in the mix and represented in my leadership team, which I'm very proud of, if I'm honest. And from a business point of view, there's tons of science that shows the more diverse you have in leaders, and the more diverse you have on your board, the better the business is, the better it performs. So that is an important piece. The other piece I would love to add to this, and I'm not the first to say it, but we're hoping to build for millions, if not billions, of people in their home. And not everybody looks like me. Not everybody lives like me. And I can't presume to know the needs of all of those people. So having a diverse leadership, having diverse teams, having diversity in thought and our research is truly important, because if we don't, it's just accepting the status quo and pushing that forward in a way I don't think any of us think is the right direction for any industry, really, because it's not representative of the world at large.
Yes, well, yeah, thank you, Sarah. It's been amazing to hear the innovation journey taking place and the role of technology at Kaluza. And also, you're clearly very passionate about diversity and inclusion. So that's really amazing to hear some of your points of view on that from a CEO's perspective. So thanks so much for sharing those with us. Really appreciate that. And your passion, of course, is infectious. So it's been a great conversation. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
And I appreciate you having me. It's always fun to step out of your day to day and have a conversation with other people and with facing different challenges. So I really do appreciate your time. Thank you.